Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today for Thursday, February 13th. We were rocking and rolling in the market today. Strong gains across the board with the S&P 500 and Nasdaq eyeing all-time highs. And here now to discuss the action is my colleague, Ken Shreve. Ken, good to see you.
You too, Allie. Yeah, great day for the market. Found three stocks to talk about, even though there's a really large crop of extended stocks out there that have been running for quite a bit. But let's take a look at Confluent. CFLT reported great earnings yesterday, held really tight today. Also, Fiserv. We looked at Fiserv recently, but had a good day today. And then in the gold space, royalties firm RGLD, Royal Gold.
Okay, we'll take a look at those stocks and potentially some earnings movers after the close. But first, we want to take a look at the major indexes. The NASDAQ today with a gain of 1.5% to lead the session, closing in on that 20,000 level and those prior highs. The S&P 500 with a gain of more than 1% today. It looks like we did close above the highs from that December timeframe, which we had been looking at in the 6,099 area, closing today at 6,115.07. And then the Dow up 0.8% on the day. So improvement here as well with a bounce, and the Russell 2000 small caps also showing improvement up 1.1%. Still a damaged area though. But Ken, it does seem like there was broad-based strength in the indexes today. We've been in a choppy range for, going on 2 months here almost, 6+ weeks. So can we get into new high territory is the question with all these crosswinds.
Well, I hope so because we added QLD to leaderboard today, which is the Nasdaq 100 ETF. But yeah, this was a great day for the market. Nasdaq volume picked up the pace from yesterday, and you can see it's flirting with a move over that 20,000 level. So we'll see if this ends up being a setup day today. We've got a pretty key economic report Friday with the retail sales, monthly retail sales data. That's become an important report for the market, just like the inflation reports have been. Today we had producer prices that were also a little hotter than expected, just like CPI data yesterday. But again, the market's performance yesterday, where the Nasdaq was down 1.2% intraday, and it
Right.
actually closed fractionally higher. So got some follow-on buying today, and we'll see. But this looks to me like the Nasdaq's in position to really try to break out with some gusto here.
It sure is. And so when you see positive reactions, whereas, previously some of this knee jerk downside reactions to economic news, especially inflation related, if it's a little hotter, causing some jitteriness. So it does feel like we're seeing a tonal shift. It does seem in terms of exposure, as you said, with QLD, leveraged ETF there, 2 times the NASDAQ 100. Seems like a good way to be adding exposure here, Ken, because it does feel like a lot of the leaders right now are well extended from proper buy areas.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, and we felt like we acknowledged the bullish action in the indexes today, and felt like we needed to increase exposure a little bit. So like you mentioned, we added QLD in the low 116s. It was a 116.03. I think we added it, and then as it made more progress, we added a little more just below 117. So this is a nice little trend line breakout for QQQ. A nice technical move. Volume didn't get above average, but it was higher than the prior session. So again, we'll see if this ends up being a setup day today. There was some apprehension in the market at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. President Trump came out and gave some color on what he's calling reciprocal tariffs to basically level the playing field with many of our trading partners. I will say that Jed Graham, as always, has a great story right on the homepage of investors.com. It's entitled "Trump Aims to Equalize Trade with Complicated Reciprocal Tax." You can get a lot of details about what Trump talked about today. The bottom line is that he didn't unveil anything new, and I think the market breathed
Yeah.
a sigh of relief there. And So we'll see. Nothing but positives to say about today's strength, and we'll see if we get some more follow-on buying tomorrow.
Absolutely, some solid
Although
action out there.
yeah, Friday has been tricky. I know that you and Mike Webster have been
Mhm.
talking about that. End of week trading has been,
Yeah, lots
a
of
little
faves on
whipsaw.
Fridays.
Yes, yes. So we'll see what Friday brings, but
Yeah.
not expecting any big
Mhm.
surprises in this monthly retail sales
Mhm.
report. But
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, as you mentioned, if we continue that upside momentum, that 20,000 level will be key. Are we gonna hit resistance there or blast right through it? And then in terms of the S&P 500, Ken, as I said, we're above those December highs. I know that's a key level IBD senior market strategist Mike Webster was looking at. And now we want to see if we can get above that 6128 high from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, very even closer to an all-time high than the Nasdaq, but the Nasdaq is up there pretty close too. So, yeah, the volume hasn't quite updated at the bottom, but it looks like we got slightly higher volume on the NYSE today as well. So, when you get higher volume, we can call that an accumulation day, not only for the S&P 500 but for the Nasdaq as well. So, this is also vying for a breakout. So we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. Okay, let's check out the 10-year yield because some concerning action, one might say, in yesterday's session, but today really coming off in a big way. So, what do you make of these recent swings here, Ken, in the 10-year yield? It seems like investors are continuing to digest what recent economic data means in terms of the health of the economy, what the Fed's going to do. So, your thoughts here?
There are still a lot of questions, that the street has about, what this economy is going to look like in the second half of the year. That spike in bond yields yesterday was a surprisingly strong reading on consumer
Mhm.
prices. They were well ahead of expectations, and again, producer prices were ahead of expectations today as well. But so it fueled a lot of selling in the bond market, and that really spiked rates up yesterday. Again, inflationary data today with the producer price index, but pretty much that 10-year yield gave back all of what it gained yesterday. So that helped small caps a little bit, but
Yeah.
we'll have to see. I mean, I think the concern that inflation, will be sticky, or could very well be sticky for a little while, especially, and that may have been why Trump kind of tempered his new tariff comments today about reciprocal tariffs. I think he's cognizant that inflation could stay sticky, so he's probably going to proceed, hopefully slowly, with these reciprocal tariffs. But it's still a question that the market is trying to answer. But in the end, we have to look at price and volume, and looking at that alone, we're still seeing a market that's acting very strong.
Absolutely. Okay. And let's take a look under the hood at some of the action in different themes. So, what about growth stocks? How are growth stocks acting today? Well, let's take a look at the FFTY Innovator IBD 50 ETF, which tracks IBD style growth stocks and a day of some pretty significant outperformance here, Ken, with FFTY up 5.1%. So, majorly outpacing the major indexes today.
Yeah, we know growth stocks have been acting well for quite a while, and that was a really nice move off lows for FFTY when it hit that low of 27.98. But this was just an unequivocally bullish technical breakout today. You can see volume picked up the pace; it was above average, almost double what it normally trades. So nice breakout here, and just again. Proof positive that growth stocks continue to work nicely in this market.
Okay. And let's take a look at XLC. Two of the MAG 7 names are in here. We've seen relative outperformance for the last couple of weeks and now clearing a tight range here, up almost 1.2% on the day.
Yeah, this was pretty interesting because Meta Platforms is the highest weighted stock in this ETF, and you can see Meta actually lagged the market today. It's working on something like 17, 18 up sessions in a row, setting records on a daily basis. So even though Meta was the top holding of XLC, um, you had T-Mobile, which I think is the fourth highest weighted stock, or maybe the fifth highest rated stock. That was up 3.84% today. So I like the price action in XLC. People looking for some ETF exposure got a nice little breakout today. And when you look at where the stock is trading in relation to that left side high there of 102.67, it doesn't seem too stretched here.
Okay. And now let's take a look at some individual names. Confluent, we'll start there. CFLT in the database software group broke out on earnings on Wednesday and is holding within a buy zone, Ken.
Yes, the company is known for its data streaming platform for enterprise clients, and this was a beautiful breakout yesterday from a big long base. And then, when you see a move like Confluent made yesterday, obviously a huge price gain. You can see the stock breaking out of a long consolidation. Yeah, it was down today in some heavy volume, but it actually held pretty tightly. So this is price action that you want to see after a breakout. So we're going to keep an eye on this one for leaderboard. We like the top line growth here, and we're just going to keep an eye and see how well these gains hold in coming days. If it continues to show strength and support and kind of hold near the top of this long consolidation, it could find a way onto the leaders list. So a lot to like here. You've got good strong annual estimates for 2025 and 2026. And again, the top line growth is expected to be pretty strong here for coming quarters. It's a mid cap stock, and plenty to like here.
Okay. And we have seen a lot of leadership lately coming out of the software sector. So I guess that would be the only thing for investors to think about right now is exposure to this group, right? Because there have been opportunities and other names in the wider software sector. Whereas I think in a couple of weeks ago when we had that DeepSeek day, a lot of the AI stocks, particularly in the chip area as well as the alternative energy space, all got hit really hard. So if you were really concentrated in that, uh, that could have been an issue for you. So, got to think about software exposure here too. Not that we're going to see some similar DeepSeek esque threat here, but just thinking about that diversification versus concentration.
Yeah, we had a big earnings mover today on leaderboard. One of the top performing stocks in software, AppLovin APP. Kind of a wild day of price action. It was up more than 35%. It closed down near its low, but still up 24%. So honestly, the amount of really strong earnings reports that
Yeah.
we've seen in the enterprise software space has been pretty impressive, and it's not surprising to see this group outperforming
Right.
again. Just a lot of good earnings reports, and finding that a lot of these stocks that are selling at high multiples are actually, getting those high multiples because they're maintaining really solid growth rates. So
Right.
still seeing a lot of opportunity here.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think the clear winning sector to come out of this earnings season has to be software. As you said, it just seems like report after report, with few exceptions, but a lot of big upside moves here from the group on earnings. And it almost seemed like the Telkin was, speaking of DeepSeek, what was the area that was pretty resilient when a lot of other AI stuff was blowing apart? The software
Hmm.
name. So that
Yep,
that's really sort of the tell when the relative strength started appearing for this group.
no doubt. Totally agree.
Okay, moving on. RGLD continuing to see some impressive action in the gold, silver, and gems area, Ken, and royal gold among them.
Yeah, trying to break out of a long consolidation here, multiple up weeks in a row. You can look back over the past 4 or 5 weeks and see a lot of upside volume. So it definitely looks like one of many gold stocks that's under accumulation here. So we'll keep an eye on this and see if it can ultimately just break out with conviction. It backed off highs just a little bit as it approached those recent highs of 154.16 and 155.10, but this is one that could try to drift lower in light volume, and you could get a decent entry. Makes sense to have some gold exposure at this at this point, we're just seeing so much strength in this area. You can see the GLD has just been on a tear. Again, a big move in a short amount of time. So maybe waiting for a little pullback here, looking at GLD, maybe down to these short-term support levels might be a better course of action rather than chasing it up here.
Yeah.
But they're still showing a lot of strength.
Absolutely an area to watch, no doubt. Okay, and now let's take a look at a couple of earnings movers after the close.
Wanted to
So,
take a look at Fiserv, just
okay.
F,
Oh,
F, F,
oh,
yeah, no,
actually, yeah. How did I miss that?
I don't know, but I just wanted because it's
Let's
a
go there.
good looking setup here, and had a very positive response to earnings. Now the CEO here is actually headed to the to head up the Social Security Administration. He was appointed by Trump, but you can see a really nice earnings report recently, and this one is really just kind of digesting gains pretty well. Felt like got a little buy signal today after two declines in a row. A stock that's still
Mhm.
holding in a buy zone here. It's a large cap liquid name and really steady
Yeah.
track record of earnings and sales here, and been a long time leader and
Mhm.
still looking good here.
Absolutely. Yeah, look at this monthly chart. It's a thing of
Looks ju-
beauty.
looks just like a long term leader. Yep.
It sure does. All right. Well, thanks for pointing out that action, Ken. Very compelling there as it sits in the buy zone. Okay, now let's take a look at earnings after the close. I guess I'm so excited because there's actually a lot of them. So we'll try to hit as many as we can. Twilio earnings are out. I'm not seeing it show up on the chart here yet. Ed was letting us know, though, that the stock was down sharply. Of course, stocks can be volatile after hours. So we will keep that in mind. It does look, I'm seeing it down about 5%.
Hmm.
They did pre announce and then a gap up at that point and then traded nice and tight since. We'll have to see what the call is like. We'll have to see how the overnight action ultimately shakes up, but the early reaction down here a little bit, Ken. Let's take a look at some other names. So this is enterprise software. Here's security software. Palo Alto earnings are out here as well. I believe this one is also down. Let me just check the tape here. I'm seeing this also with a 5% decline here, Ken.
Yeah, so a couple of, again, Palo Alto Networks, we've seen a lot of strong performance in this group from the likes of, CyberArk and Fortinet, Rubrik. Palo Alto is probably, it's probably the most commonly known name in this group, but you can see that relative strength rating of 73, even though it's trying to break out of a base here. It has been a little bit of a laggard when it comes to other strong performers in the group. So, yeah, down 5% on earnings, and Twilio, a monster performer in the enterprise software group. Probably haven't seen too many stocks sell the news, but this has been showing a lot of strength. We'll have to see
Yeah.
what the details of the report were. But overall, what's been amazing to me is that even stocks that were rallying very sharply ahead of earnings, whether it was a Palantir or I mean, there's countless examples, stocks that looked very extended, you know, have continued on after making big pre-earnings moves. So, a little surprised we haven't seen more of the sell the news scenario, but still got a lot of earnings reports to go through. GoDaddy is another one. GDDY, I think they were reporting after the close today. Another top performer. So, another stock that's down on the results. So we'll see what tomorrow brings.
Yeah. So GoDaddy down about 3.8% at the moment here. On the upside, Roku up 14%, relative strength here of 86, and sort of a choppy chart in recent months, turning around after a big slump here, trying to make a comeback, up about 13-14%. Airbnb, let's check out that one as well, up 12%, even more of a laggard stock lately versus Roku, even. So maybe if it can hold this strong gain into tomorrow, maybe that can kick off a turnaround for this stock. Coin, let's go there as well. Looks like we're seeing a gain of about 3.4% here in the regular session today. The stock up 8.4% to retake the 50-day line. and DraftKings up about 7.7% or so on its quarterly report. We've seen a long basing pattern here for DraftKings headed into today. The stock up almost 10%. So, if it can hold this gain of about 7, 8%, it looks like it would be a breakout that goes all the way back to last spring, Ken.
Some good news and some bad news on the earnings front, but glad we were able to end with some earnings gainers. So bottom line here, bullish day for the market today. The bears are still scratching their heads and saying, how can the market be, going up when we're getting inflation data like we saw yesterday and more inflationary data like we saw today? But price and volume tell us that there's money coming in from the sidelines here. So you got to respect the trend and look for stuff out there to buy. It is getting trickier, at least in the growth stock space. You want to be careful not to chase, but at least again on leaderboard we found QLD was a good ad today, and hopefully we'll be able to enjoy a nice breakout there.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Thank you so much, Ken, as always. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. That is it from us for today, but we will be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live, joined by Michael Lamoth, the author of The Trading Mind Wheel. So we have that to look forward to starting 10 minutes before the opening bell. We'll see you there, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details. And then we'll also see you right back here tomorrow after the close to wrap up the week.